I'm going to add some removal spells to my deck. For your opponent's creatures, right? For your opponent's creatures, right? Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. And today's donation deck list comes to us all the way from Singapore with the simple request to play some non-blue Nic Fit. Nic Fit, generally speaking, refers to an archetype where you are putting Veteran Explorer in your deck with the aim of sacrificing or otherwise destroying it in some way to ramp you ahead on mana. While this is a symmetrical effect on paper, many decks either don't run that many basic lands or can't take advantage of a ton of mana. Nic Fit is going to play a bunch of, relatively speaking, overcosted cards by Legacy standards, but if you can set yourself up by ramping out things ahead of schedule and use the mana better than your opponent, then it's not actually all that much of a disadvantage. Now, let me say this with the caveat that, Nic Fit is clearly a tier 2 or below Legacy deck list. It is very fun. It is very enjoyable to play. The competitiveness is a little sketch, I'm not going to lie to you. Now, today I'm going to play a card that I was curious whether or not it would break Commander when I originally saw it printed. Saw in Half. You destroy a target creature, and we're usually going to pick one of our own creatures. Now, if that creature dies this way, its controller creates 2 tokens that are copies of that creature, except their base power is half that power, and same for the toughness. And notably here, you're going to round up every time. So I want you to imagine that we play an initiative creature. We trigger the whole initiative thing, we go into the Undercity. We go to our next turn, we tick one more through the Undercity, maybe attack with our creature. Opponent's end step, bam, saw it in half, create 2 more copies of that initiative creature, and then immediately end up going into Throne of the Dead 3 the following turn. That's fucking sick, and I'm so excited to try this out. Is this janky? Yes. Is this going to get blown out savagely by removal spells? Also yes. But the couple of times it works, the entertainment value will be off the charts. Today's video is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., Moxfield.com, and Eminence Gaming. If you thought about trying out CEDH and you haven't tried it yet, really consider it. There's a sweet tournament series coming. And if you need paper Magic cards, check out Cool Stuff Inc. and use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order. So how are we going to sacrifice the Veteran Explorer to ramp ahead on our lands? Well, we've got a few ways to do it. We can just blow it up with a removal spell. We can sacrifice it to a Deadly Brew, while maybe getting something like a fetch land back. Or we can do the most traditional Nic Fit thing and sacrifice it to either Cabal Therapy or Phyrexian Tower. We have 8 initiative creatures here, as well as Green Sun Zenith to go and tutor up Undermountain Adventurer. So in addition to that, we also have Minsc Boo. So we have essentially 12 4-drops and a 5-drop that's an additional copy of Undermountain Adventurer, and Green Sun can also serve as a copy of Veteran Explorer or Ignoble Hierarch. Now, one of the big questions here is is this whole Veteran Explorer thing going to be more consistent than just jamming a bunch of Spirit Guides into this deck? And no comment. No comment. We're not going to play any Silver Bullets for Green Sun in the main deck here. And if I'm being honest with you, it's because we're trying to do something a little bit cute and fun today. And some of our things, like a main deck Collector Oof that we might be playing, are being cut in order to try out something cool and fun. I hope you'll forgive me. You can yell at me in the comments when you're like, Collector Oof would have won that game 1. And you'll be right. I guess honorary mention to Questing Beast here, who I am playing as a Silver Bullet. The haste damage alone is good, but this can also just do some serious work versus something like Planeswalkers. Let's just battle. So this is a hand with 4 drops and access to 2 mana. I don't have a way to sacrifice Veteran Explorer. I think I'm just going to ship this one. I'm going to confirm that Dryad Arbor is in my deck before keeping this hand. It is. That means this one's a keep. We'll just throw one of the basics back in the deck. I guess I'm usually getting a swamp anyway. I guess I can keep both basics. We're not well set up versus combo. We're pretty well set up versus like a slower blue deck. Maybe slower blue deck. All right, we're good on mana. I still think I play this as an accelerant and potentially as just a bait spell for something like a Swords to Plowshares. White removal historically pretty damn good versus Nic Fit because like your stuff doesn't die, so it misses out on critical triggers. And although this build isn't doing something like Graveyard Recursion with, what is it, Marin of Nel-Toth or something like that, Graveyard Recursion is somewhat common in this archetype. You can even go Recurring Nightmare Deep if you want. All right, there's the fetch land for the Brainstorm Shuffle. Looks like we're hanging out for the time being. We take 1 turn off here. The Dryad Arbor was supposed to accelerate us. If the board's empty as of next turn, I actually feel pretty good about the way this game is going. But if my opponent were to, say, play something like a Stoneforge Mystic right here, it would be pretty bad for me. Life from the Loam's fine. That may incentivize me to kind of stay on basics when possible. No, I don't think so. I don't really need black, or green, probably. Pick up another green. I think I just want to jam this on curve. Sure. Grist trades for 2 cards, that's fine. And Cabal Therapy is just sort of awkward right now. I want to use it on counter spells, but Brainstorm's so good after you cast Life from the Loam. Just throw the unwanted lands back into the deck, and your Life from the Loam feels like a draw 2 or a draw 3. Instead of something that just lets you make some land drops. Don't do it. Oh, thank God. I was worried about 4th Airlingas and my opponent becoming the Monarch. Which would have been gross. So next turn, I can play Cabal Therapy plus a 4-drop. One of my cards resolves, and the other doesn't. Which one do I want it to be? I think Caves of Chaos Adventurer. The Scry 2 can help me find a way to answer the Uro. Alright, cool. We'll take the basic mountain out of the deck here. So now, yep, no, that's fine. But we don't have all that many removal spells. Yeah. So I think the Scry 2 to look for them is really important. And I kind of assumed that Minsc Boo, or sorry, that Caves of Chaos Adventure was going to be answered in some capacity. Oh. Sure. That's something I'm not great at answering either, huh? Okay. I mean, we're still doing the Scry thing. I'm still going to have to answer that Uro long term. We're not interested in this stuff right now. So now I'm kind of off kilter in terms of turn cycles here. Put some counters on this. Opponent has protection from everything. No point in attacking here. And the token can technically, block an Uro or race an Uro or whatever. But the One Ring is really good. One Ring Nic Fit must be a thing that exists, right? Mystic Sanctuary for swords. Sure, that makes sense. So now my opponent can, play Uro, draw swords, take out the Minsc Boo token. Seems good. And the extra land drop doesn't hurt either. Yeah, my opponent doesn't even need to use the swords now, and it's in fact probably not correct to do so. We're going to continue down this side here. We're going to say no to that. Okay. This is actually pretty interesting now. So, I'm going to cast a Cabal Therapy targeting my opponent. they will respond with the sorts of plowshares that I know about. Oh, wow. Well, this is not going to go like I wanted it to go then, now is it? F, okay. All right, opponent. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do the Minsc Boo minus to force. I could fetch Dryad Arbor. No, that's been used. I'm legend ruling this Minsc Boo like 100% of the time. All right, let's play this land. Let's attempt the minus. My opponent does the swords. Do I want the 4 life or 2 mana? 1, 2, 3, 4. I have enough mana to just do this. This is fine. Now we're hoping for no removal spell, which is a lot to ask for. But I think I would like to hold the initiative here. This results in you still having 1 card afterwards, right? So it'd have to be something like a Spell Pierce. I'm not super expecting in game 1. Keep this one. And we're going to put counters on this. So the hope here is that my opponent does not have a removal spell. I get to chump block with Boo, hold the initiative. Like, maybe I'm not supposed to do this, and I'm supposed to have my opponent attack the Minsc Boo that's at 2 loyalty, and I still have the initiative that way. Like, maybe that's just safer. But assuming this works, this is a very high upside play, and I think I'm supposed to take a high upside play in the face of the One Ring. As a counter argument, though, like, my opponent gets to look at so many damn cards this turn. Doing, like, the One Ring, draw step, and Uro trigger. Like, maybe this is just too risky. Yeah, I think I don't know, like, if I wait, though, and I let my opponent take all those draws, it's just so much more likely that a Force of Will or Force of Negation counters the second one. This is a lot of mana. Oh, shit. That's obviously very good. That means the initiative is contested. And there is the swords. That was pretty bad. So, I'm getting attacked by that. Boo's getting attacked by this. I don't get this Catacombs token, which is something that I really wanted. I think, like, this trio just buries me, though, at this stage. Okay. Like, if I miss on my draw step, I am just going to concede. Like, it is really just that bad. My opponent attacking me for 13 while drawing 4 more cards and only effectively losing 1 life is awful. That draw, I think, means it's worth continuing to play the game. Because if I can play an initiative creature and saw it in half in response to an opponent's removal spell, that is admittedly pretty gross. The old Forge. Sure. We're not going to saw in half Boo, I don't think. Like, it saves a lot of damage right now. Oh, what the fuck is this shit? No red mana. Oh, no, okay. There is red mana. Even if I saw Boo in half, that is still just an absurd amount of damage and card advantage. GG's. A Sheoldred's Edict for Planeswalkers seems reasonable. Do I want a Collector Oof for the One Ring? Doesn't seem great given my opponent's just, like, Isle O potential removal. Mana Dorks aren't exactly great versus this deck. Like, I don't think I want to play Veteran Explorer versus this opponent. Like, giving my opponent who is playing, like, the One Ring and 4th Airlingas a bunch of basic lands seems rough. We're going to board those out. Maybe do something like this. I might want Endurance. I don't mind Ignoble Hierarch just jumping on a grenade. Like, Ignoble Hierarch and Dryad Arbor here are really for soaking up removal. If I take Veteran Explorer out, it makes sense to take Cabal Therapy out. That does this, and I can round out with 1 Collector Oof, I guess. Am I on crazy pills here? What happened? Oh, did I not submit? Cool, cool, cool. Cool, cool, cool. All right. We're just gonna accept that that happened and move on with our lives. Let's pull our good friend Dryad Arbor out of the deck. Nope. Very aggressive. I'm dead if I get wastelanded here. Dodged. I do really want to draw a second land, though. Like, I have some cool, like, Saw in half a Veteran Explorer, Saw in half a Caves of Chaos Adventurer line. We're real soft to a removal spell here, but luckily, unless my opponent has 4th Aerlingas or a turn 4 Minsc Boo, we're not, turn 3 Minsc Boo, we're not, like, just super dead quickly. 3 mana, 4 mana. Alright, it's the One Ring. I have a chance to Deadly Brew if I draw a land for just an absolutely batshit insane amount of value. I have unfortunately missed. That's rough. The opponent has 5 potential mana now. Like, Minsc Boo can come down with protection, like via Source of Plowshares or something. Yep, that's fine. I mean, it's not fine. And Uro. If I miss on a land drop here, I think I just scoop it up. Yeah. That would have been a Pyroblast in all likelihood, which I would have been able to cast. Alright, let's try again next round.
Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, which is, in my opinion, the best Magic the Gathering website for hosting your deck lists online. One of my favorite features is that you can create your own custom tags for when you're deck building. So let's say you're building a commander deck and you want to know, hey, how many copy effects do I have? You can just create a tag and sort everything, and there's fun little hotkeys so that you can do this more quickly. So really, please consider checking them out if you are looking to tinker with deck lists online.
So this is a bit of an awkward hand. I'm paired against a Yorion deck. I don't have red mana for my threats. Unless I play this on turn 2 to get Ignoble Hierarch, which I think I am going to do. It's going to be awkward against Source of Plowshares, which is probably in my opponent's deck list, but I also, in theory, will have a couple of draw steps to just find a land naturally. But we'll just play a land and pass. In some timelines, I also just get Veteran Explorer and Pernicious Deed away my Veteran Explorer and my opponent's early board. That's just an alternative way to handle this situation and get my lands. Alright, we're playing against a blue Yorion deck. Cabal Therapy really incentivizes me to go for Veteran Explorer here. So I guess I will do so. I could wait one turn to better play around Swords to Plowshares, but the idea being that I cast Cabal Therapy and then play Green Sun and immediately sack Veteran Explorer so my opponent doesn't have a priority pass to remove this. But I can only take so many turns off, and I already took off turn 1. I don't think I get to take off both turn 1 and turn 2 versus a blue control deck that wants the game to go slow and long. I mean, presumably blue control deck, you know, could be a Yorion Cephalid Breakfast deck or something crazy. Alright, what's happening? What colors are we in? Bayou Volk. Maybe all the colors? Alright, sure. We will deed away that Up the Beanstalk at some point. Like, it will still have replaced itself, like it is a cantrip innately, but hopefully we stop a lot of the worst nonsense here. Let's do the thing. Brainstorm's a good name first, and name Force of Will second. Alternatively, I can name Force of Will first, and then Swords to Plowshare second. Let's name Force of Will. Force of Will is a hit. Now, opponent unfortunately has Solitude and Swords to Plowshares here. Alright, let's get rid of that Yorion. Alright, Cabal Therapy. Sacrifice Veteran Explorer. We will get Mountain and Swamp. Actually, I wonder if naming Solitude is better than naming Swords to Plowshares. Even an argument to name Lorien Revealed, honestly, because I just ramped my opponent by 2. Yeah, I think I actually named Solitude. Like, Solitude currently cantrips and is my opponent's only creature. Let's take out the Solitude. And then I start the initiative subgame. Like, I can let my opponent answer my creature with Swords to Plowshares, and then I just play another one, and, like, it's all good. Alright, so Swords will happen. My opponent will potentially just tap out on their turn to refuel, and I'll just drop another initiative creature immediately. Like, if they are using their mana in ways that does not put them ahead on board, I think that is going to be favoring me. They've got 1 land left. I don't need to worry about that. That's Lost Well. Holy shit. Yes. This is just mono gas on top of the library here. This is 4, 5, 6. I don't get to double spell here. Bam. I guess I could put the Pernicious Deed into play. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. I don't have 8 mana next turn because I know the top card of my library. I could have 8 mana next turn if I attack and hit a land, though. I think I want to play this, though. I think I just want to have that option to take the Up the Beanstalk out of play on some turn where I don't have bonus mana, or I can do it in response to the Catacombs trigger. Sure. Opponent's got a fetch land for that Brainstorm. Mystic Sanctuary. Going after Source of Plowshares. Very reasonable. But I'm kind of hoping to just have a stream of creatures that my opponent cannot effectively stop. All right, they're just going for the swords. All right, so I think I do just kill Up the Beanstalk here. Like, I'm fine with trading for this before it cantrips off a Force of Will or something. Then I'll make my 4/1 and cast a Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Hoping for Throne of the Dead 3. Opponent could have a Force of Will. Ooh, Drown in the Lock? What are we doing? Well, they tapped blue-black and then untapped. They might have a Drown in the Lock that they can't use right now. Drown in the Lock's based on my graveyard, right? It's been a hot minute, but I think it is. Okay, yeah, we're resolving. Okay, that was maybe not the best Throne of the Dead 3 known to mankind. But we do have a shit ton of power in play with just 2 more pieces of gas in hand. Like, this is kind of the Nic Fit dream where, like, our... Ooh, that is an island cycle. They don't feel like they have time to draw here. Probably good for me. All right. Find your answers. Now, notably, at this point, we have completed a dungeon, so we can cast the card we find off Caves of Chaos Adventurer for free. All right, new Up the Beanstalk. Again, time my opponent spends spinning their wheels rather than removing my threats is great for me. Another land drop. Fairy? Yori into hand, sure. I guess there is going to be some decision about whether or not I do actually play out additional creatures from here, because a Supreme Verdict is so scary. This is 4, 9, 12. I could make it 13, 14 this turn. I don't know that I need to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not counting Noble Hierarch as a mana source. Yeah, let's just attack with what's on board. Ooh, my opponent did that in the main phase. That changes things. They would have done that at the beginning of combat. I couldn't do what I'm about to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll now cast this. Okay. Yeah, all right. I got the read on Drown in the Lock from a minute ago. So I don't really want to Green Sun here, right? Because I want to Green Sun for X is 4. I can only do it for X is 3. That maybe means that I was supposed to cast the Green Sun instead. I really wanted the Trample creature in play, though. If my opponent commits 5 mana to Yorion, they'll draw 2 cards. I can Forge the Skeleton. Mystic Sanctuary for Swords to Plowshares yet again. For Swords to Plowshares yet again. Now it's clear that I don't have Endurance. Alright, so Yorion draws on cast. And we'll draw again with Up the Beanstalk re-entering the battlefield at end of turn. So my opponent is going to need just like constant continued interaction. This can safely attack right now. If I put counters here, this can also safely attack. And I split my power across 2 bodies, which I think is better. Because like Solitude, Source of Plowshares are both somewhat likely. Phyrexian Tower is not terribly interesting here. Don't need to cast Green Sun pre-combat for any reason. What you got? Oh, love to see the jump block. Okay, this is fine. Another Force of Will would not be fine. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total mana. Do this for X is 4. Nice. And I think I was not supposed to go for Questing Beast pre-combat, just for what it's worth, because I think advancing the initiative is so important right now. So this puts my opponent to 3. I have power spread across 2 bodies. Either one of these is a lethal attacker. Opponent has lots of cards, lots of mana. A very large 4th Aerlingas could gum up the board. I guess defensive 4th Aerlingas is a reason to consider have gotten Questing Beast. But then Questing Beast would have eaten the removal spell instead of the Menace token. Yeah, so maybe it's better to just still have access to Questing Beast later. Sure. Ooh, opponent does have Terminus. That's quite good. But again, stuff like this is why it's so important to advance the initiative. We're fine unless this last card here is 4th Aerlingas. Yeah, that's a double whammy. So that gives my opponent the Monarch and the initiative. And we're going to lose if I don't top deck well, despite the first half of this game going so well. Yeah, drawing Questing Beast or a Green Sun is incredibly good at this point. Hey, it's a Green Sun. So my opponent dies unless they have Force of Will or Force of Negation. They've got 5 cards. All right, they have a Force of Negation. 1 Green Sun down. Yeah, I like going down the right side for them. My opponent's got some cantrips. Oof. Uro is going to rapidly accelerate that clock and put my opponent out of range of just dying to Questing Beast. Like 5 versus 4 is a huge deal here. And then going up to 8 means that most just regular attack steps aren't even going to do it. It's super unfortunate that we hit just a mana dork off our first Throne of the Dead 3. I mean, opponent also had some like timely counter spells, but you know, that's what their deck means to do. Right, this is still that same game where Dryad Arbor is gone, right? No, it's not. Okay. So this is a sneaky Dryad Arbor that maybe my opponent doesn't play around. So we're gonna yield until end of turn. And then we'll make our moves. We just want to make it look like we're F6ing when we're really not. Again, we shouldn't get like too excited about Dryad Arbor. Dryad Arbor just represents 1 redraw off an Archives draw, if it even gets in during the combat step. My opponent has so much mana. Like, this is an ungodly amount of mana, even by control deck standards. Like, I gave them 2 of those, but this is still an absurdly long game. Like, this is turn 9. Alright. Fetch. Sneaky Dryad Arbor. Okay, opponent's discarding a card. That means no Swords to Plowshares. That's good. Assassin's Trophy is not bad. I'm gonna finally play this. My opponent's like ends up attempting to remove Dryad Arbor. It's possible. Holy shit, is this working? Wow, okay. I'm the Monarch. I also take the initiative. I'll draw a card. Hello. I don't even play this turn. I play this next turn. Let's go to my end step, draw a card. Hello. I probably end up Assassin's Trophying something. I've got a Pernicious Deed in my deck that could just sweep this all. I think I let the Uro attack. Like, it doesn't feel good. But I've got the life to spare, at least for right now, and I don't want my opponent to just replay it and have it as a blocker. And since my opponent is coming in with 2 different creatures here, I just can't stop both. Like, I can attempt to Assassin's Trophy the 4-1, for example, which is a thing that could block what I'm doing. It's indestructible, too. I think I'm going to attempt to beta removal spell here. Take out some of these beans. People hate it when you destroy their beans. Maybe my opponent won't have any counterspells. I really don't want their Force of Wills cantripping twice right now. I would love to draw Cabal. Oh, no, I wouldn't. Protection. So good. Rough. It's possible I wiggle my way out of this, but it's pretty bad. Returns another permanent? Okay. So this is a bait spell. Alright, there's the cantripping Force of Will, which is now thankfully not a double cantripping Force of Will. Now I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And attempt to do Throne of the Dead 3. Okay. Did that last card find you a counterspell? No. So then I will Undermountain Adventurer, getting me the initiative back at the very least, meaning that I get to Throne of the Dead 3. Hopefully hitting in another initiative creature. Okay, we do. Nice. Okay, there is a Source of Plowshares. Pick up Forest. Play Forest. I think while my opponent doesn't have counterspells, I just jam this and get a 4/4 body and am happy enough with that. Yes. Plus on Boo. And hopefully that at least makes my opponent think about their turn a bit. As a reminder, folks, this is game 1. My opponent is down 4 minutes on clock. It's very possible that we are playing towards a game 2 timeout situation. Fourth Airlingas can do some disgusting work, though, in terms of just winning a game. Sure. Oh, I see. So they wastelanded their own Mystic Sanctuary so that they could get it back. And that is going to allow them to potentially Terminus again and clear the board. Leyline Binding. I wonder if we end up in a situation where I cast my other Pernicious Deed for like X is 6 and actually get rid of that. I'm also slightly surprised that the Minsc Boo. Well, okay, no, I'm not, because my initiative creature is hexproof. I don't know. I thought Minsc Boo was just going to go down in combat. Okay, sure. Protection comes back. All right, so they can attack with both of these creatures so that they can take the initiative back. Their Throne of the Dead 3 is somewhat likely to just be a miss, though. Yeah, I think my opponent just messed up. So if I let them hit me, they go to Throne of the Dead 3, which means they just shuffle past that 4th Airlingas. I guess it's back in their deck, and that's worth something. I think I'm not supposed to lose this creature. Yeah, if they just like brainstorm in response or whatever and grab it, so be it. Okay. Okay, they hit another Uro, which just means that they gain a little life. Yeah, that's fine. Like, they can just replay it from... Oh, they didn't replay it from Graveyard. Slightly surprising. But I guess not the end of the world. Cabal Therapy. We will save that to name Force of Will on a more critical turn. Yeah, my opponent needs to win both Game 1 and Game 2, and needs to win Game 2 very quickly, or they are going to time out. At this point, it's kind of shitty, but I'm going to be kind of playing for individual seconds. That is X is 13. Not great. And that attack step very much kills me. Alright, I need to win Game 2. If I win Game 2, I win the match. Very aggressively using Red Elemental Blasts sounds good. Extra bodies sound good. If I do what I did last time, I just junk this package for these. And play a Collector Roof or 2 for the 1 ring. Elder's Edict is also okay. My opponent does have some things like Solitude that I do want to answer. And I just treat this as a removal spell for a Planeswalker. It's a little awkward. Do this. It's also not crazy to Surgical Extraction, my opponent. But that's worse without Therapy supporting it. Is 1 Veteran Explorer to Green Sun 4 better than 1 Cabal Therapy to do a Force of Will check at a critical moment? This gets a Swords to Plowshares out of hand some portion of the time. This accelerates with Dryad Arbor and is probably reasonable. Swords to Plowshares specifically is a little annoying here. I guess Force of Will into Wasteland is also annoying. That is a way that I could potentially lose. Alright, there's a Dryad Arbor. Alright, tapped land is great for me. That means Endurance is live in this turn cycle. I'll play that at the end of my opponent's turn. And then intend on playing an initiative creature. Assuming the first initiative creature resolves, that gets me my other color of mana. And playing an Endurance here takes some removal pressure off of my Dryad Arbor. Alright. Pre-combat? I don't want my opponents to random... No, I'm not going to play around that. Let's just send the Endurance. Leyline Binding. Sure. Second main phase. We'll attempt the initiative, and I might actually get to do the whole saw in half thing if my opponent waits till my turn to play. Nope. Alright, we'll need red mana. Teferi's annoying, but not the end of the world. Boseiju for end of turn Leyline Binding is actually really hot. Like, that is not something that is probably going to be on my opponent's radar. I could attempt to do the whole saw in half thing on Veteran Explorer. I don't think that's as good as the sneaky play that I've got going on. Yep. The One Ring. That makes my Endurance play much worse. Do I still do it? Do I still do it to set up for the future? I think I wait now. I think I wait until the next end step to have it be a surprise then. Sure. I just don't want to walk my creatures into Supreme Verdict or Terminus if I don't have to. It's a little weird if I draw specifically a red source right now. I can also attack and kill this Teferi. So I will do that. My opponent's got the One Ring going. This is something that puts a lot of triggers on the stack and takes a lot of game actions. Which, while it is an insane play, my opponent needs to find like 4th Aerlingas incredibly quickly. Alright, cool. Like, I have an active way to get rid of that Uro, which is nice. Sure. We'll Boseiju Leyline Binding. And Endurance away my opponent's graveyard. This could be a Collector Oof. Like, attack for 6, then play Collector Oof, stopping this. That's pretty reasonable. Send them. We're walking further into Terminus specifically, which is not the best. Alright, there's the Force of Negation. Opponent's at 14 after that trigger. They're drawing a lot of cards. Ooh, another Uro. I could saw in half my Endurance. That is a thing that I might do. Okay. Veteran Explorer is gone. Dryad Arbor is gone. Okay. You're a little late to the party. Yeah, saw in half on Endurance might be a play that I'm making. Okay. Yeah, so my opponent's going to use a removal spell, and then I'm going to saw in half. This is hilarious. I guess I let it resolve and target the Endurance. For my next trick, I'll saw my own creature in half. Damn it. It was going to be so good. So the current board state is such where if my opponent finds 4th Aerlingas in the next turn cycle or two, they might be able to just win before they time out. I don't know that they will be able to get an Uro win before timing out, assuming that they have to waste some amount of time on other interactions. Discarding a Terminus. Sure. Let's play a thing. Force of Will. Sure. If my opponent attacks me for 6, then 11, then 11, that does get me dead. And they don't die to their own One Ring because of Yorion. I think they are going to successfully kill me before the clock runs out. Sure. Especially with another Force of Will backing everything up. My opponent has just consistently made so much mana in these games. I think I'm okay in this one if I draw a red source. And I don't think I was supposed to go for the Saw in Half on my Veteran Explorer. Alright. My opponent just Force of Wills this. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That happens. And then that still leaves them with plenty of time. Alright, sure. I'm just absolutely making sure they have the needed resources so that this one can't slip. Yep. What are you doing in combat? I think they were trying to play a Yorion in combat. Because they're rushing. Alright, they figured out what's up. Went benign, and then they're going to play their Yorion. Okay, they just blinked the ring. Minsc Boo. Sure. Yes. If I attempt to throw this, and it works, I stay alive through a removal spell that my opponent does not have in hand right now, or is a sorcery speed removal spell. I think we're going to throw, or at least attempt it. That is a Solitude. Sure. My opponent's got lethal on board here, and plenty of time to just go through their various triggers. Unless they do something weird like cast a spell for some reason. They've got this one. Yeah, I guess I could have griefed them harder by setting like stops on everything and not yielding through their turn, but GG's. Alright, I'm keeping my hand here. The only question is, like, do I play out Veteran Explorer on turn 1? We're playing against a Swords to Plowshares deck. It's a little scary to do so, because I don't get to, like, guaranteed sack it to Phyrexian Tower or Deadly Brew the next turn. I think against Scalding Tarn, I just jam. Like, I would be perfectly happy with Veteran Explorer eating a Daze. It's in play. Scalding Tarn doesn't mean my opponent is not on white mana. So, like, there could still be just a sorcery speed prismatic ending or something. Badlands. Grixis control? Okay. Are we storming? Feels like we're storming. In which case, I'm dead. Yeah. No Metalcraft for Mox Opal? Okay, yeah, it is a Galvanic Relay setup turn. Sure. There's a Song of Creation. I do not have the Game 1 Collector Oop. This is your moment to tell me it should be in the main deck. Timestamp it in the comments below. I guess I'll just Minsc Boo and get clocking. Need a red to make this happen. Other one doesn't really matter. Nice. This is one of those Nic Fit benefits where sometimes your opponent doesn't actually have basic lands. So my goal is to get lucky, live through the next turn, and then hope to just reduce my opponent's life total to 0. Like, it's turn 2, I have a 4/4 in play that is effectively a 7/7 from here. I can also play Questing Beast next turn and attack for 11. But we might be dead, but the other lines that I have are basically like pass the turn, attempt to Bow Seiju a Lion's Eye Diamond at a critical moment, or hope my opponent goes all in on Song of Creation and misses. Like, I could have passed the turn at this moment, hit this, but my opponent still has 4 cards in hand and multiple playable cards in exile. Like, they brainstorm in response, draw a few cards, and then I have just punted the problem 1 turn down the road. Maybe that's enough. But I'd kind of like to play for a win. Maybe I had a second Veteran Explorer line. Or a Green Sun, then Deadly Brew. Return the first Veteran Explorer, then Bow Seiju. We'll see. I'm going to fast forward this turn because it's probably going to be my opponent just... Oh, wow. Sure, never mind. This is interesting now. Okay, just Legend Rule that. Sure. All right, now I'm going to fast forward. All right, my opponent has played out a decent number of artifact spells and then played Tendrils. Notably here, we see Gaia's Will under a Chrome Mox, meaning that they are a Beseech the Mirror combo deck. Yeah, I think without Collector Oof in my Game 1 deck, I just never win this Game 1. Like, again, if I Bow Seiju that turn, my opponent ends the turn with like 5-ish cards in hand and probably kills me another turn or 2 later before I can aggro them out. I am still fine with my
get a threat going and hope I can do something meaningful. Yeah, we also didn't have game 1 Collector Oof, so there's that. There's a reason the sideboard looks like this, and like some of this other stuff is not crazy either. I don't want Edict. I don't want Deadly Brew. I don't really want Assassin's Trophy or Saw in Half here. This is 62. I'll still need more cuts from here. And then, like, we can talk about this stuff too. Wrist is not necessary. Playing a Hierarch on 1 makes it easier to play Oof on turn 2, so I don't get rid of any of those. 1 Undermountain Adventurer, and then skip out on this stuff. Some of the cheap stuff may be better. This hand is dead before I do anything. This hand always plays turn 2 Collector Oof. I Green Sun 4 Dryad Arbor, and then unless my opponent like does something wild, like double discards me on 1, I just always have turn 2 Collector Oof, which is about the best I can do in this matchup. Let's go get a tree. Now, opponent's on 5 cards. We'll see whether they were mulling medium hands or if they're just attempting a turn 1. Because if they're just attempting a turn 1, they've got it. They are not. Fantastic. I think 1 point of damage and play the Collector Oof from hand is better than use the Green Sun, because the Green Sun can become something more threatening that closes out the game. And I conceptually like that. Plus, I can just still have the flexibility of it being a Collector Oof. If I want a second one. I'm not, like, super expecting Massacre, right? Or equivalent. Let's do this. Attack for 3. I guess an Echoing Truth would be annoying if I take the line that I'm about to take. But it plays against single removal or bounce spell very well. Second Oof. Okay. Decay? Decay one of them. Alright, we played around that. Oh, we're just going, huh? What is this? Beseech or Gaia's Will Abrupt Decay? Okay, there's the Beseech. Song of Creation. Okay. Yeah. I hit my opponent for 3. The artifacts are turned off. The graveyard's off, although my opponent doesn't know that. Is at beginning of end step? Yep. I'll let that trigger resolve. Tendrils. Sure. I will send all those back into the deck. My opponent can get them back via a guy as well. 6 damage. My opponent needs to string together a kill this turn off 1 card from Song of Creation without using artifact mana. Yeah, that's not happening. Now to win the game on the draw, we probably need Mindbreak Trap. If my opponent's plan to beat Oof is specifically Beseech for Song of Creation, I should probably be playing these. And I just go down some number of threats. I want to be able to find the haste damage. I want to be able to find the initiative. I could cut 2 of these and cut 1 Minsc Boo. Going down these creatures would make Throne of the Dead 3 considerably worse. But I shouldn't give a shit about that. Like, that shouldn't matter in most games. Yeah, let's get more interactive. I could go Surgical Deep as well, but at some point I do have to just leave things in my deck that kill my opponent. So this hand has Collector Oof and Endurance. It does not have a turn 1 play. It does not have a Mindbreak Trap. I think 2 pieces of interaction plus the ability to get rid of any 0-cost artifacts that are played out is reasonable. I don't think this is better than reasonable, though. Okay, Taiga Pass. I like seeing that. Hell yeah. Fetch. This is a Bayou. And I will cast a Cabal Therapy. Burning Wish, Beseech the Mirror are pretty reasonable names. I think I am just going to take out one of the cards my opponent's deck is built around. Nice. Hit. Good stuff. I have left my opponent with only mana. Collector Oof then shuts down this LED. Sure. Opponent opting not to immediately crack that. So I'll jam the oof, and my opponent will crack it in response. Yep. Oh, this is gone. Sure. Alright, I get another turn here. I could, like, fetch Dryad Arbor and then take out one of these cards from hand. I don't know that that's better than just playing an Endurance and increasing my clock here while my opponent is stumbling. Holding up Endurance also helps with some of the worst case scenarios. Playing Deed Out isn't crazy, but it's a lot less good once my Collector Oof is already in play. Like, the big reason to play Deed Out is so that I can do it on X=4 the following turn. I will cast this, and I am going to get rid of their graveyard. I think it's borderline this time, because one of my opponent's easiest ways to win is just Beseech for Song of Creation. But again, they do use their graveyard as a resource. Veteran Explorer, not bad here. Actually quite good here. So, play Veteran Explorer. Cabal Therapy, target you. Sacrificing Veteran Explorer. Okay. You have a Veil of Summer. A Brainstorm, sure. This is a May. My opponent does not have to search and shuffle. I'll use this ability. I have triple green already. I actually don't really need to sweat the colors too much. Let's get a red and a black here. That Dark Ritual is still somewhat likely to be in my opponent's hand. They probably hid any good stuff they've actually drawn. I'm just going to name what I've already seen. Ooh, okay. Got it. So, I have insurance for Empty the Warrens. Is there any way I die next turn with that hand? Probably not. Would my opponent have hidden a Thoughtseize as their top card of library? Probably not. I'm going to make the play that I was intending on making. Play Minsc Boo. Yes. Plus here. Attack my opponent for a large amount of damage, and if my opponent casts an empty to buy some time, I just Pernicious Deed for 0. And then attack for lethal. Well, I guess it wouldn't necessarily be lethal anymore, right? Because I would get rid of this token. It would be for 5. Okay, we put a win on the board. Okay, I'm not excited about this hand. This hand does nothing. Like, it's very awkward that the Dryad Arbor is in hand, so I can't use the Dryad Arbor to get Dryad Arbor. I'd rather go to 5 than keep this. Alright, how does this play out? Cabal Therapy saw in half going back. This is 5, right? That's fine. I have some degree of mana ramp here. I think I offer up Dryad Arbor to the Gods of Removal rather than Ignoble Hierarch, because Ignoble Hierarch would produce black. Bam. Alright. Are we eating the swords? No, we're not. Great. Fantastic. And that is a shuffle. Well, if my mana dorks make it another turn, I'm going to start to feel okay about this game. But that's a pretty big if. Not super well equipped to handle a combo deck like Show and Tell either, unfortunately. I think after the double mulligan, I'm kind of just bad at everything. Alright, so we're probably playing against a blue-white X control deck list. Ooh, it is a Stoneforge Mystic deck. If my Grist doesn't get countered, we're okay. Ooh, Buck, JK, it is Cephalid Breakfast. So answering the Stoneforge Mystic isn't just stranding a Cauldra in hand. Something, 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 game 1 Collector Oof, something, something, something. So I don't think Grist sacrifice one of my mana sources is the play anymore. Now that I know that I'm playing against Cephalid Breakfast. I think I play Undermountain Adventurer, because then if I draw a land, I can live the dream of playing both Minsc Boo and Undermountain Adventurer, and Grist the following turn. But I die some portion of the time for making this play. I guess this gives me a land. We'll get actual black mana. Yeah, because then we have 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana, and we can do it all. But I can just die to just Cephalid Illusionist Chico equip. Okay. My opponent randomly has Cauldra. It's going to be a real ass kicking.
Let's forge. Veteran Explorer is interesting. I don't think what I want to do. Some degree of risk here. I need to leave black available. I guess I can leave this. All right, things are working. Again, Caldra puts major dampers on my plans. Is there a Caldra? No. And not using the mana to just put the Shuko in either. Okay. Oh, fuck. I clicked one too many times. I was supposed to play a Grist post-combat. Sure. The Grist doesn't matter. I'm dead now. My opponent just plays Cephalid Illusionist and Shuko. And I have no... Yep. Okay. Even with protection here. So my misclick doesn't matter there. So there's the other land to make this all happen. And in case you don't know how this combo works, Cephalid Illusionist is going to repeatedly be targeted by Shuko. And my opponent is going to mill their entire deck into their graveyard here. And ultimately, they are going to dread return Athos's Oracle. And I'm just going to let them show me their deck. I want to know whether or not Caldra is something that needs to be in my radar. All right, there's the Cabal Therapy for safety. They now know that I don't have Endurance, which is what I presume they are going to name. I think naming Fairy is worse than naming Endurance from a green deck in Game 1. Okay, I do have to worry about Caldra. My opponent dread returns the Thassa's Oracle. And I am dead. So, got Dazes. There's Teferi. Orum's Chant. Couple Stoneforges. Okay. Got it. This is a deck that's really hard to sideboard against because all your cards only kind of do things. And if you overly gear towards beating the combo, you die to the fair mid-rangey stuff. I am on board for Endurance to disrupt Athos's Oracle kill. Removal's okay. Blasts are okay. Oof's okay. Surgical's okay. Everything's only okay. The Mindbreak Trap doesn't necessarily stop combo turns. Probably don't get to be cute with Saw in half here. Deed is something that's highly disruptive that I can play out and then just hold up. I don't love it. I don't hate it either. Accelerating my opponent is a little spooky. But I don't think I can touch this package. I think this stuff is kind of important here. Maybe the Deed is just too slow. I don't know. Gonna get rid of the Questing Beast. I don't know that it's necessary. I want at least access to this. I don't know that I need to because it doesn't necessarily stop the Nomads in core side of the combo. And these are fine. I don't know. Maybe I need these. It's just awkward because it doesn't always stop my opponent's combo. I don't know. Maybe Deadly Brew isn't necessary and I go down one more of these to play the blasts. This hand has no form of acceleration. I don't know that that is super acceptable. I'm gonna mulligan once. This hand also just does nothing. No form of acceleration. Can't actually cast these now. Don't have anything to pair with the therapy. Cool. This hand sucks. This hand is worse than hand 1. On 5, this probably becomes a begrudging keep. Can't deed away Dryad Arbor here. I think I have to keep this for a turn 2 Stoneforge. Or I'm just fully dead to it. I think I'm just fully dead to mulligans already, though. Grab Dryad Arbor, pass. Alright, what are we working with? Sure. So it's pretty telegraphed, but I have an Endurance available for this turn cycle. I have a Shouldred's Edict available for if my opponent Stoneforges for Caldra specifically. Yeah, that's annoying. Sure. Am I edicting that? It's a very awkward edict. No, I think I just put this in play. I'm just at so little. I'm at such a low percentage to win this game that I think I just need an extra body in play, spike an initiative creature or something, go from there. This Collector Roof? Is that what we're doing? Shut off the Shuko portion preemptively. Doesn't feel great. All right, there's oof, attack. I think attack. Like it's awkward because then like top decked Undermountain Adventurer isn't lethal, but it makes my edict better on a Cephalid Illusionist if my opponent plays one out. Ooh, no land to make Urza Saga tokens. That's great for me. I think that means I actually have a realistic chance of winning this one despite the mulligans here. Opponent's down to 11. I get to hold up a Sholdred's Edict for a combo attempt. My opponent doesn't have tokens that can get in the way or other creatures that can get into the way because this Edict is a little more flexible. All right, Wizard Cycling is fine. So this goes and finds Shuko, which is not currently active. Sure. Yep. Sacrifice a non-token creature, please. Get out. Yep. And we're dead. My opponent has more than enough creatures to do the whole Dread Return Thassa's Oracle thing. They don't need Shuko. And this is what I mean about how it's so awkward to sideboard against this deck. At this point, I believe we're 0-4, but I really want to saw on half an initiative creature, so let's try the last round. All right, we do not have enough mana in this opening hand. This is an auto mulligan. This hand doesn't do anything. This does not reasonably cast any meaningful spells. Like, this is an edict that I can't sack a Veteran Explorer to or anything. We're going to 5 here. This is acceptable. So this goes back. I may be supposed to hope that one of my draw steps spits up a land, and I just toss back one of these to keep 2 pieces of gas to play later on. It's a little rough if Ignoble Hierarch gets answered, but I think I need multiple pieces of gas on average to win a Legacy game. So we're going to try to high roll a bit. Yeah, that's exactly the sort of thing that I need. Is this always mana? Yeah, I think it's always mana, given how this looks. I'm going to pull the tree out of the deck so I don't draw the tree. I don't want to use my land drop on effectively an ETB tapped land. And we'll see whether our opponent is playing fair island stuff or unfair island stuff. Could go either way as of right now. Oh, also, slight correction. I did put up a win versus Storm, so we're 1-3 right now. So we're still playing for some play points. Which, honestly, the 2-3 is pretty good for Nic Fit. 3-2 is the Nic Fit trophy. That counts as a 5-0. What is my opponent in the tank about on turn 2? They made their land drop already, so they're not tanking about, like, cantrip sequencing. Okay. It was whether or not it's worth bolting a Dryad Arbor. Saw in half for initiative creature? Not really the draw I'm looking for right now. That makes me, like, really wish I had another land instead of one of these. I'm pretty likely to concede once my opponent produces a threat. Alright, Delver deck confirmed. I guess figuring out whether there's something like Grixis or Rug has some degree of value. But double mulligan into double land destruction is not setting me up for success. Like, my cards are just stuck in hand here. At 17. Opponent doesn't have more creatures, so like this is interaction. Yeah. I'm comfortable conceding to that. I'm not coming back from that much of a deficit. So I would like additional removal spells for things like Murktide Regent, and Endurance is not bad either. Saw in half is probably not reliable versus a deck with a bunch of Dazes and Force of Wills. So I don't get to live the dream this league, which is unfortunate. We attempted to do a cool Saw in half Endurance play, but it didn't pan out. Pernicious Deed is very slow, super dazable, and does not answer Murktide Regent in normal people's circumstances. That probably goes. Most of the rest of the cards that are here are okay. Wrist is a little slow. It's nice to be able to Green Sun for an answer to Murktide, as well as a technical sack outlet for Veteran Explorer. I'm not the most excited about questing beasts here. Maybe I go down a couple of Minsc Boos. They're not the best versus Lightning Bolt. And again, very dazable. This is fine. Not overly exciting, but fine. I think most hands that at least attempt some mana acceleration are going to be reasonable as a starting point. Dragon Rage Channeler, Actual Factual Delver. Hello and welcome. I think I'm going to play around a Stifle, preemptively fetch, pass the turn, attempt to ambush a Delver mid-combat, unless my opponent reveals a counterspell off this. They revealed a Brainstorm. I'll let them Brainstorm in response to an Endurance. Like, if I force interaction on Endurance and then get to resolve something like this, I'm relatively happy about that. Alright, there is the Brainstorm. Although, honestly, it might just be Green Sun for Grist minus sack Dryad Arbor, get Insectile Aberration, and clear the board before introducing an initiative creature into the game. Okay, good enough for Force of Will. Happy with that. Don't bolt my Dryad Arbor, I kind of need it. Okay. Am I happy trading Dryad Arbor and Green Sun or Delver? Not really. I don't have a nice flying blocker to Green Sun for. I might have to. I might need to just Green Sun this turn, Shoulder's Edict next turn, initiative creature the turn cycle beyond that. Unhappy. Let's attempt it. I guess this could just be an Endurance. And then I get to better play around Daze for the rest of this game. Yeah, let's do that. Clears the graveyard to keep a Murktide Regent out of play as well. And I would be much happier trading Endurance for like a Delver and a Lightning Bolt. Although a Brazen Borrower would be pretty crushing. Alright, sure. Alright, no attacks. We want to run that back? Like, do I just want to get another Endurance? Yeah, I maybe just want to get another Endurance here. It's unusual that I want to drag the game on kind of like this versus Delver. Badlands? I always have red, always have black. And this is still played around Daze. Sure. It is Rug Delver. You might play the Druid thing. It is the Druid thing. Seek the Beast. Why is there only one card in exile? What just happened? Oh, it just doesn't put them over there. I see. So there's a Ponder and a Lightning Bolt available. Got it. Oh yeah, let's just clog up the ground for a little while. Do I attack? I think I'm okay with an attack. I think I've got to keep some amount of pressure up. Like, I am going to ultimately end this game through combat damage. I'm not entirely convinced that this card is great. There's been a decent amount of Twitter discourse over it recently. I've played against it so few times that I don't want to make any conclusions until I've seen it in action more. I think I just take a hit for 3 here, because the card from the Lightning Bolt can only be played this turn. So if I just wait, like if I take 3, then this Endurance doesn't ever die to Bolt, which I think I like. Okay, sure. It does mean that I'm probably sacrificing Dryad Arbor, but I think like Lightning Bolt goes here, and then I just try to be the beatdown. Yeah, that's fine. Yep. Cabal Therapy. That's okay. Not great. Let's do this and just name a counterspell. Or do I just name Murktide Regent since I'm trying to get this game over with? Let's name Murktide Regent. That is like one of the scariest things that could accidentally happen. Nice. Questing Druid and a Daze. I think I'm going to be the beatdown here since I get this first attack step. Opponent goes to 7. I'll Shoulder's Edict, sacrifice a non-token creature. That gets rid of the unflipped Delver. And I'm hoping to put my opponent into a chump block situation
They do have questing druids that they can play, so like they do have jump blockers. Okay, yeah, opponent can't really hold back. Like, we are trying to race each other. This is a gain 3 life spell. Sure. Oh, that was very kind of my opponent. I think I have to play this pre-combat. It's a little awkward. They don't want my opponent to like change their mind, randomly wasteland me mid-combat, and then Daze is turned on. Alright, it is another Seek the Beast. Hydroblast. I have a bit of a sinus headache. Is this game 1 still? Is that game 1 Hydroblast? Don't actually remember. No, it's not, because I have the endurance is in. Alright, my opponent's at 1. This is a blocker for this. I think I'm good. What was the other one other than Hydroblast? Wasteland. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Okay, yep. Alright. Margins were a little tight on that one. I know about the Druid. Does that change anything? Does that make me want Pernicious Deed? Not particularly. Like, it's an inefficient removal spell when the margins are tight. I don't think I want to do that. Yeah, this is fine. I have a decent mix of lands and spells. I can get a basic forest off of this and not get wastelanded in the early game and be okay with that. The Deadly Brew is not looking the best right now. Alright. You're under the gun from a turn 1 Delver. Sure. Let's get that forest. And I think I always use this one first. Grab the Dryad Arbor. Let my opponent potentially kill Dryad Arbor. And then I take a turn off to just use Deadly Brew as an edict. It gets a little weird if I draw Veteran Explorer or access to a Veteran Explorer. We'll see where it goes, though. Chain Lightning. Sure. I'm very scared of Murktide Regent, but I don't think it's worth pitch casting Endurance to play around it. Alright. Attempt an Edict. I'm not going to pitch cast Endurance, but I think doing so loses me the game in a lot of instances where my opponent just like does not have Murktide Regent this exact turn. And I don't think I have enough gas to just 2-for-1 myself here and have that be a good idea. Sure. Let's get another basic. Grab a forest. I think I'm going to go for upkeep cast Endurance. I don't know. My opponent doesn't have Murktide Regent right now. If my opponent casts an end of turn Brainstorm, I think I nuke their graveyard because they get more looks at Murktide. I think I'm willing to give them one random draw step, but I'm not willing to give them more than that. Sure. So Beast Thingy. Beast Thingy. So I think I let my opponent Surveil and then cast Endurance before this can potentially hit a Force of Will. Let's try this. Nice. Junk the graveyard. Another questing druid. Sure. This does mean that Dragon Rage Channeler is not locked into attacking this turn. Okay, sure. So this will scale up over time. You liked whatever card they just saw. I'm kind of hoping for a reasonable low-cost spell that I can play in this turn cycle so that I can justify taking a turn off for Ignoble Hierarch. Does that one count? I think that one counts. I don't know, like, I kind of want this game to end, though, because, like, these things are just going to scale up over time in a very bad way for me. It may be that I am just the beatdown here, and I need to ignore Daze specifically as a card. I will buy that. A Hydroblast. I would have traded with it anyway. You can probably deduce that opponent does not have Daze at this point. It would have been better to Daze than Hydroblast. Well, not strictly better, but probably better. I think I'm not the beatdown. I think I have to hold back to not take chip damage from Dragon Rage Channeler. The Questing Druid's getting in. In future turns, I can play Veteran Explorer to soak up some points of life and help out with that problem. But this is kind of the place where a Questing Druid can shine, where like a player has stalled out and combat is not favorable for either player. Like in these situations, like sitting back on these and letting them grow can be good. And then there's going to be other times where it's just like, ha, get Bowmastered, nerd.
Alright. Try to resolve the good spell prior to days being online. Oh no. A force of negation. Oh. No, that's fine. The fact that they grow each other with the Seek the Beast is cute. Okay. Alright, we played around days. Unfortunately, the lightning bolt is going to get us. Alright, they're playing the days purely to grow the questing beasts, which have now outscaled my threats. It does also mean that I don't get to multi-spell this turn. This trigger hits the stack, and then my opponent just lightning bolts the Minsc Boo. This is why we trimmed these. Yeah, the questing druids did not look great last game. They look pretty good here. Okay, there's a third one coming as well. Deed in the deck? Deed's not in the deck right now. Deed would be a great out to this board. Yeah, I think I'm dead. I'm going to keep playing for another turn cycle or so, but I think I've stalled out enough that I probably don't win from here. Like, the Dragon Rage Channeler has to attack this turn. Good God. And hopefully my opponent does not have Lightning Bolt or whatever to take out the Endurance. Oh, it's just Murktide Regent. Okay, we can concede. We can concede to that. We're not beating that. Indeed wouldn't have been an out to this either. GG's. That'll bring us to a 1-4 finish in this league. All right, going into the league, I knew that this idea was definitely on the cute and not good side. Let's take a look at the whole deck list and get some final thoughts here. So, generally speaking, Nic Fit works too hard. And by that, I mean too many of your cards are independently bad. So, Ignoble Hierarch is fine. Veteran Explorer is a bad card. Cabal Therapy is a bad card. Deadly Brew is a bad card. Saw in Half is a bad card. Pernicious Deed is a bad card. Questing Beast, you're borderline. You're on watch. So I would say 14 of the cards in this deck list are below average legacy power level. And the idea is that the synergy between these cards makes it so that they are worth playing. But I found that a lot of times my opening hands were just clunky. We relatively rarely lined up Veteran Explorer with Cabal Therapy. And in some of our rounds versus Exile-based removal, we were just wanting to board them out anyway. Given how much white removal is in the format right now with Leyline Bindings, Swords to Plowshares, and Friends, like, I'm not going to say it's ever a good time to play Nic Fit, because I don't really think that's true anymore. Like, we're fully in pet deck territory. But right now might be a particularly bad time to be messing around with this archetype since so much white removal is in the format. We're relatively insulated from something like Orcish Bowmasters, so we've got that going for us. But generally speaking, I think we were accelerating towards our 4-drops less consistently than other decks in the format would be. And the win that we spiked was basically Collector Oof stealing a win. That does not speak well to the entire shell here. Legacy has gotten faster. Answers have gotten better. You don't necessarily get to play the Siege Rhino style cards anymore that are just powerful overcosted cards on the back of this Nic Fit shell. Like, 4th Aerlingas exists now. Murktide Regent exists now, and like that's the bar that we have to compete by. And even when you scale up the power level of the like supporting cast to be competitive cards, I just don't think messing around with this stuff is going to be productive in the current legacy world that we live in. Regardless, if you want to have some fun and attempt to saw in half some initiative creatures, because I didn't actually get to do that, check out Cool Stuff Inc. and use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order. Folks, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. I'm going to go take a nap. See ya!